So, has the Manchester City court case just disappeared from the biggest story in world football and what, should remain the biggest story in world football, just sort of fizzled off into the background? Manchester City making millions, hundreds of millions of pounds worth of signings, players committing to 10-year contracts if you're talking about Erling Haaland, and, for a couple of years, Pep Guardiola hanging around. What's going on? Well, we're going to talk about Schrodinger's court case today here on Football Yannick. I'm going to cite an analysis from Sky Sports published a couple of days ago from time of recording. And we're going to try and learn a little bit about it together and talk about it. Because it is worth talking about. Like I said, it's the biggest story in world football. Like, the implications are gargantuan. And it follows up off other investigations from Manchester City historically. Of course, there was the UEFA, Der Spiegel publication, massive court case that got turned into the Court of Arbitration of Sport. UEFA tried to they essentially did ban Man City from their competition, the Champions League, for 2 years, and it got thrown out from the Court of Arbitration of Sport. Of course, utilised hacked emails that, the journalists from Der Spiegel put into a big piece showing that, essentially... Allegedly, Man City had been cooking the books for many, many years to funnel in their own money from Abu Dhabi to circumvent and navigate financial fair play rules. And of course, that will put to bed. They sort of, as it were, got away with it, depending on your, belief. And then, of course, the Premier League's been doing an investigation for so long. There were quotes from the Man City officials and chiefs saying they would rather bury the Premier League in legal fees than accept wrongdoing. And of course, they are just infinitely rich. They were pretty much boasting an invincible stance. And it's all very unsavory. Now, what's going on? First of all, I must say, I've got to get this in early. This isn't a hit piece on Man City, the working institution, a historic club, or their fan base. Yeah, it's just a freaking huge story, and Man City fans will know that, and many of them will probably think now they're fine, they're clear, purely because of how things have panned out. Loads of clubs have been punished bad for financial fair play, obviously Forests and, Everton's and Leicester's sort of somehow dodged it through wriggling between leagues, but we're going to get into it today, and like I say, I'm going to cite Cavasolicol's article on Sky. But yeah, man, welcome back, first of all. Whether you're a Man City fan, or a Premier League fan, or, just a football fan, or just a content fan, you're all welcome here, and we are slowly moonwalking our way to 20,000 subscribers, so thank you for joining me, thank you for liking, and thank you for subscribing. So yes, I am citing this Sky Sports article. Solicol writes this. So what are the charges against Man City? Well, they've been charged with breaking financial fair play rules over a 9-year period, which started back in 2009 and went all the way to 2018, where of course already at that point they were established Guardiola super team. They have also been charged with failing to cooperate with Premier League investigations into their finances. It's worth mentioning as well, guys, this was one of UEFA's biggest gripes, that they didn't open the books to them. They want, cooperation, and Man City refused to open their books to UEFA. Similarly, they're doing the same to the Premier League here. I use my club Chelsea as a reference point because it's the club I support. When the new owners came in and bought Chelsea off Abramovich, the first thing they did was open the books to UEFA and reported a financial irregularity from the Abramovich era. And they went, thanks for telling us, here's a small fine. You're fine. No ban. It's all good. So really, it's a sort of cooperative thing that they're looking for, and they won't punish you badly should you be transparent with them. When the Premier League charged Man City in 2023, so long ago now, its press release detailed alleged rule breaches that added up to 115 in number. And of course, that's what generated the sort of social media, Twitter, X meme of 115. Rival fans would just constantly utilize this number, 115. And even that, the meme power's sort of faded a little bit, hasn't it? Time heals everything, and potential wrongdoings as well. But it's believed that the actual number of charges against Man City is 130. It doesn't sound like that big a difference, but when you add an additional 15, in isolation, 15 charges is a lot. So, it is significant. During the period in question, Man City, who have denied all charges against them, won the Premier League 3 times. The Premier League's financial fair play rules are designed to ensure clubs pretty much spend what they earn. You can get around those potentially by inflating how much you're earning or hiding how much you are spending. In the PSR, Profit and Sustainability Rules, and FFP era, artificially increasing your revenue could, in theory, allow a club to spend more on transfers and give higher wages to new players. So yeah, according to the Premier League, Man City broke the rules over 9 seasons by allegedly failing to provide accurate financial information. Among the charges against City, they did not fully disclose the financial remunerations, we get there in the end, that were made to one of their managers over a 4-year period. Yeah, was it Mancini as well? The suggestion is that there was a secret contact, so one of the managers was getting paid much more than officially stated. Surely not. The Premier League also alleges Man City did not comply with UEFA's FFP rules over a 5-year period. So how did the investigation begin? Well, the alleged rule breaches first came to light in a series of articles published by Der Spiegel in Germany. So they're like, this investigative journalistic department is based on emails obtained by convicted Portuguese hacker Rui Pinto, which also appeared to be on the Football Leaks website. Yeah, so a hacker hacked Man City, got all the alleged dodgy emails proving they've been doing dodgy cooking booking. They've been cooking booking. Yeah, this is why I should not be a prosecution lawyer for the Premier League. They've been cooking booking. I've seen the emails. So it was a story that started UEFA investigation back in 2019, of course. In February 2020, that is, we're in our global pandemic era now, were found guilty of breaking UEFA's financial fair play rules, and they were given a 2-year European ban. Basically, so not only the Champions League, they couldn't play in any of European competition, and a €30 million fine, which they'd probably go, we'll pay that, no problem. Yeah, but the ban was lifted 5 months later, and then of course then the fine was reduced to 10 million. So they were like, huge victory for Man City, you'd have to say. Cass said City showed, quote, blatant disregard of UEFA's investigative process, but cleared them of, quote, disguising equity funds as sponsorship contribution. The ruling stated that most of the alleged breaches were, quote, were not either established or time barred, with the UEFA statute only allowing prosecutions within a 5-year period. So maybe they couldn't squeeze it into the appropriate segment of time. City said that Cass ruling was a validation of the club's position and a body of evidence that it was able to present. Huge, like I said, huge victory for them. But the Premier League does not have a cutoff for investigating alleged breaches. This is why they brought charges against the club going all the way back to 2009. They were like, yeah, we can do what we want. It's our league, and there's no window here. We can, because it's hugely important, because this is how Man City have become a superpower. Like Chelsea, it was with Roman Abramovich. It was nouveau riche, new money, but Abramovich wasn't breaking any rules, and he was one of the people to vote in financial fair play because he saw Abu Dhabi buy City and he wasn't the richest kid in the playground. He was like, right, well, yeah, let's bring in these rules now. So it is important to go back, because this is like, if Abramovich was breaking rules, like in terms of financial fair play breaches, I mean, there are different investigations that are still going on now, but if he just says, right, I'm just buy all these players, and it was breaking the league rules, then of course it would need to be investigated. But the Premier League does not have a cut-off. I've just read that. When the Premier League eventually brought the case against City in February 2003, the club said they were surprised by the development and insisted their position was supported by a comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence. Well, surely that irrefutable evidence should have tucked this away years ago then, or immediately. City's hearing in the case against the Premier League ran from September 16th to December the 6th. The 6th as well. It wasn't even it was the beginning of December in 2024. The 12-week hearing was held in front of a 3-person commission. That's good. It's not many people to buy off. Joking. Have to check. Have they got new boats? Have those 3 people got a yacht? Joking. I'm having fun. Check if they've got yachts. Independent commission at the International Dispute Resolution Centre in London. Oh, thank God there's an International Dispute Resolution Centre locally. The time frame between the hearing and the judgment was always expected to take several months. It's been several months because the volume of charges. I mean, to be fair to them, 130 charges is a lot to be reviewed. City boss Pep Guardiola said in February 2025 that he expected the outcome in 1 month. That's very funny. However, that estimate came and went with no update. And at the end of July, which is, just a few days ago, Premier League chief Richard Masters was asked about this decision, but told NBC, "You can ask, but our rules are very clear. It's a confidential process, so I can't give any information on timing or anything like that. I can't give any, probably because he doesn't know what's going on, or they're just being, I don't want to speculate and even joke about some things." It's possible that the commission's judgment could arrive first, with any sanctions confirmed at a later date. So let's get into the possible ramifications and punishments. If the commission rules against Man City, it can punish them in any way it sees fit. According to the Premier League rules, the sanction could be a points deduction, a fine, or even expulsion from the Premier League. We've heard all this before. So these are potential punishments here. I'll run them off here. Suspend a club from playing league matches. Points deductions. Recommend to the board that league matches be replayed. Sorry. Ruddy heck. Recommend to the board that the league expels the respondent club. Gets them relegated or whatever. Order compensation. I'm sure they'll be quite happy to pay money. They have endless pits of it. Cancel or refuse registration of players. That's an interesting one. Conditional punishment. Don't know what that even means. Smack them on the bottoms. Order the club to pay costs. To me, that sounds like order compensation. Make such other order as it sees fit. That is just something else that we can't think of, basically. They just wanted to get more and more stuff on the list there. Anything is possible because the Premier League does not have a set sanctions for the financial rule breaches. Clubs decide not to have them because there were fears that it would break the rules and take the punishment if they knew the punishment was going to be. Right, confusing. In February 2025, Richard Masters said the Premier League was looking to have a sanctions grid, setting out agreed sanctions for different rule breaches. Yeah, it's better that there's some sort of rules in place, that it's not like a subjective, you get this, la-di-da-di-da, because then it needs to be fair, right? Everton got 6 points deduction. Nottingham Forest got 4. Further back, Luton Town, when in the EFL, was deducted 30 points for illegal payments to agents. Derby County, I remember this. It says financial irregularities. Correct me if I'm wrong, feel free in the comments, but I believe they did a Chelsea before Chelsea did it. They sold the stadium to themselves, and the EFL doesn't allow that. The Premier League allows you to sell your own assets to yourself. That's why the new Chelsea owners have done the hotels, the car park, the women's team. But you can't do that outside the Premier League, and that includes the EFL. So that's what happened with Derby. They were, City could appeal. Once the judgment is made, both sides, the Premier League and City, can appeal within 14 days. They will appeal. The loser will appeal. The loser will. I mean, maybe they'll look so weak, the Premier League, won't they? If Man City win. Any appeal will be heard by a new 3-person commission, with the members selected by Murray Rosen KC, the chair of the Premier League's judicial panel. Any appeal will further delay positional sanctions of points deductions. But the decision will be final. Neither side will be permitted to appeal further to the Court of Arbitration Dispute. So you can't appeal after an appeal, basically. But also, there is, for example, a scenario where there isn't an appeal, maybe. Maybe Man City get done, but very lightly. Maybe they they feel like they'd lose an appeal if they did it, and they got a 10-point deduction and a £50 million fine. Maybe they go, yeah, let's just do this one season, make sure we get in the Champions League with that 10 points deduction, and move on and put this away forever. There is a chance. Maybe. Yes, and there you go. So it's Schrodinger's court case goes on. I also read something that could be very late this year before we hear anything, and it's gonna break the internet, because eventually, even if they say, oh, it's this and it's appeal, eventually this has to be finalized one way or another. And what is the biggest legal story in world footballing history needs to have an outcome. So, yes, let me know what you think, guys. I wanted to speak about it because this article was published in Sky a couple of days ago. Yes, what do you think is going to happen? Is it all fine for Man City? Like, so hard to guess and speculate, but if you can, do in the comments section below. I'll be very interested to see what you think. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining me. Daily content here on Football Yannick. Please do consider subscribing, and I'll see you back here soon. Peace.